Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a modern parable that's all about truth, denial, and the kind of revelation that can be, well, pretty blinding. We're talking about the masks we all wear, the uncomfortable voids we try to ignore, and what happens when two cosmic forces decide it's time for the whole performance to come to an end. Our story kicks off in a place that's specifically designed to get under your skin, the uncanny forest. And you should think of it less like a real forest and more like a state of mind. You know that feeling when something is just a little bit off? It's familiar but also deeply strange. It's a space where our usual defenses are down. And it's only when we're in that vulnerable state that a real, honest-to-goodness confrontation with reality is even possible. That makes it the perfect stage for two ancient powers to finally meet. So here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with that uncanny meeting. Then we'll take a hard look at the kingdom's silent rot and meet the spirit that denies. After that, we'll get into the idea of an ember of discomfort, a blight of revelation, and we'll wrap it all up with the inverted journey's vigil. Okay, so here we are, deep inside that shadow-filled canopy. And it's right here that the jester, a figure who's all about sharp insights and uncomfortable truths, comes face to face with this immense, ancient creature, the verdant dragon. But here's the thing, this isn't your classic hero versus monster story, not at all. There's this immediate spark of recognition between them. They see each other not as enemies, but as fellow travelers on a really unconventional path. They're not climbing upward towards some fake ideal. No, they're on a downward road. A journey down into all the messy, complicated, unspoken truths of the world. Because that's the only place where you can find what's actually real. So, you might be asking, why is this whole journey even necessary? Well, it's all because the kingdom they come from is suffering from this quiet, creeping decay that no one wants to talk about. See, on the surface, this kingdom looks like it's got it all together. It's built on what's called ceremonial certainty. All these rituals and performances designed to make everything look orderly. But the problem is, it's a world that's totally forgotten why those ceremonies even exist in the first place. And just beneath that shiny surface, a rot has set in. It's suffering under the silence of heaven, this terrifying feeling that no one up there is listening. And so the entire society is basically built to avoid looking into the empty void of its own nature. All right, so into this world of decay and performance, something ancient starts to stir. A primal force of the earth, a power that's been sleeping for centuries, is waking up. Now, the verdant dragon isn't just some big lizard. It's a living, breathing concept. It is the not-self-made flesh. Think of it this way. The self, in this case the kingdom, can only really understand what it is by finally confronting everything it is not. The dragon is the embodiment of everything the kingdom denies: chaos, decay, the raw, uncomfortable reality of nature itself. It's the big, cosmic no that the kingdom needs to hear before it can finally see itself clearly. And its philosophy? Well, it's pretty stark. With a voice that sounds like grinding stone, the dragon basically says its whole purpose is destruction, sin, and evil. But this isn't just random malice. It's a core belief that anything built on lies deserves to be torn down. You know, it's that necessary destruction that has to happen before anything true can be built in its place. So, you see, the dragon's purpose isn't just chaos for chaos's sake. It's a mirror, a perfect if terrifyingly grotesque mirror. It reflects back to the kingdom the exact emptiness that all its ceremonies and rituals are designed to cover up. Its very presence forces the kingdom to look at the one thing it's most afraid of: itself. But just saying no to everything isn't the whole story, right? Pure negation is only half the equation. The jester brings in the other, crucial piece of the puzzle. He argues that for any of this to actually work, the revelation has to come from somewhere more personal. And this is where we see a really powerful contrast. On one side, you've got this heap of dying ash. That's the kingdom's hollow culture, just gluing things together from other scraps. But on the other side, you have the internal ember. The jester argues that real, true revelation can only come from that little nagging spark of discomfort inside every one of us. That feeling that something just isn't right. It's the music from your own heart's space. The jester is basically saying, look, facts aren't enough. Truth isn't some intellectual game. For it to have any real impact, it has to hit you right in the heart. It has to be spoken from heart to heart in a way that gets past all our defenses and forces this emotional, gut-level reckoning. To really reach someone, he says, you have to speak from inside the wound. Okay, so how do these two totally different forces, the dragon's grotesque mirror and the jester's internal ember, how do they actually team up to make all this happen? Here's the most important part. The jester doesn't create the truth. He's not the light bulb. He's the angle at which that light falls. Think about a prism, right? The white light of truth is always there, but it's the jester's unique, totally unexpected perspective that bends it, revealing this entire hidden spectrum inside the soul that was invisible before. So, let's walk through this. They call it the geometry of the grotesque. First, you have the kingdom's armor, its ceremonial certainty. Then, the dragon's mirror, its powerful no, cracks that armor wide open. And finally, the jester provides the exact right angle of light to shine through that crack. And the result? Revelation. Every single face, stripped of its mask, becomes completely and totally readable. And the outcome of all this is what's called the blight of revelation. Now, it's called a blight because that level of raw honesty can feel like a sickness. It's a cold, white light, not because it's evil, but because it's completely impartial. It doesn't burn with passion, it just exposes. It pulls the truth from within the world itself, not from some god up in the sky. Which, of course, leads us to the biggest question of all. After this huge, forced moment of honesty, after the grotesque mirror is put away and the performance of an entire civilization just stops, what's left? What do people do when they can't hide from themselves or each other anymore? And that question brings us to the final act of their story, which isn't really about action at all. It's about watching. It is the inverted journey's vigil. Hey, remember that downward road we talked about? Well, this is where it leads. The inverted journey completely flips the script on the typical hero story of climbing a mountain to reach some false peak. Instead, it's about a descent, a journey down through the world's failures and hypocrisies. Why? Because it's down there, in the foundations, underneath all the layers of ceremony, that the true thing is actually hiding. So in this final stage, the jester's role completely changes. He's no longer the truth-telling monster who's actively exposing lies. His job isn't to tear things down anymore. That part's over. Now he becomes a silent witness. He just holds the space, watching to see what choices people will make now that they're living in the cold, clear light of revelation. The truth is out. What they do with it? That's on them. And what they did together completely transformed the world. That terrifying silence of heaven isn't a horrifying void anymore. It's an open invitation to create real meaning. The jester's bells, which used to sound so jarring, now ring as a final verdict, calling things by their actual names. The dragon fades but remains as a memory, a reminder of the mirror that never forgets. And in the end, the only thing that's truly real is the vigil, that quiet, watchful presence that's left after all the performances have stopped. And so, the jester continues on his endless downward journey. He's no longer just a teller of truths. He's become the living embodiment of truth itself, a constant possibility for revelation. And he leaves us with a final, powerful thought. The most important truths are almost never found where we're looking for them. They're the light arriving from the one angle you never, ever thought to check.